start at Matthew chapter 7. And after Matthew chapter 7, we're going to go to Isaiah 51.
Yeah, you gonna break your back? You try to pick that boy up?
Alright. Matthew chapter 7, verse 24.
Therefore, whosoever hear these sayings of mine and do them, I will liken him unto a wise man which built his house upon a rock.
Alright.
And the rain descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat upon that house, and it fell not, for it was founded upon a rock. And everyone that hear these sayings of mine and do them not shall be likened unto a foolish man which built his house upon the sand. And the rain descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat upon that house, and it fell, and great was the fall of it.
Alright, so that's what we're looking at. We're looking at building your house upon a rock. Understanding the similitude of that rock and who that rock is, and how in our life we should be founding and establishing that rock as the foundations of our faith, so that we may be firm and established. Alright, so let's go to Isaiah 51. And we're going to start that at the top.
Hearken to me, ye that follow after righteousness, ye that seek Yahuwah. Look unto the rock whence ye are hewn, and to the hole of the pit whence ye are digged.
Alright, start right there. So we're looking at the rock that we are hewn from. What y'all getting from that? It say, look upon the rock that you are hewn from. Right, that you are taken from. I'm going to get that word. And then it say, and to the hole of the pit whence ye are digged. So we're looking at that. It's saying that we need to seek Yahuwah, and he is the rock which we are hewn. And when we're looking at that rock, we're looking at the fact that the Mashiach is that rock and the stone that many are going to stumble on. Before we look on that, we got to understand that when we're looking at the rock and being chosen, we got to look at how when we going through this word and we seeing the different people that have been fashioned by this rock, we're going to see that the rock is a stumbling stone for many, but for those who he has chosen, the rock is they fort, is their establishment. That's what's going to get them through everything that they're going to go through in their life. All right, so let's go to Genesis chapter 7. I'll show y'all something. All right, and we at the top.
And Yahuwah said unto Noah, come thou and all thy house into the ark, for thee have I seen righteous before me in this generation.
Alright, so stop there. So it's saying, Noah, he told him to come out of thy house and into the ark, for I have seen righteous before me in this generation. Anybody remember what Noah means? What his name means? Rest. So he said, unto Noah, whose name means rest, come out of thy house and go into the ark. So he's seeing that Noah is found righteous in his generation. Anybody know where else we can see that he telling somebody to come out their house? Abraham. Let's look at that real quick.
It do in the text. No, you know. In the text it says that Noah's name means this is the comfort of the ground of which I have cursed.
Oh, yeah. When you look at it in the Strong's, it say rest. But let's go to Genesis. Is that about 21?
What chapter you say, bro?
Chapter 21 of Genesis.
What's wrong with
Let's go to 12, chapter 12, my bad. At the top.
Chapter 12?
Mm-hmm. All right, we're at the top of chapter 12 of Genesis.
Now Yahuwah said unto Abram, get thee out of the country and from thy kindred and from thy father's house unto a land that I will show thee. And I will make of thee a great nation, and I will bless thee and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing. And I will bless them that bless thee, and curse them that curse thee, and in thee shall all the families of the earth be blessed. So Abram departed as Yahuwah had spoken unto him, and Lot went with him, and Abram was 75 years old when he departed out of Haran.
All right, so this is what we want to look at, and we're going to tie that into understanding you got to be established on the stone, because we got to understand, we're going to read in Acts that it says that Elohim does not dwell in temples made with hands. Dwayne touched on this last night because, he was saying people saying that we ain't supposed to go into these physical buildings in these churches because, you know, the Most High don't dwell in temples made with hands, but we gotta understand the real spiritual meaning behind that. So when we looking at that, I want to show forth that when He's calling us to leave the house, He's calling us to leave our first, you know what I'm saying, understanding of what we have and come into His house or come into His rest, we gotta understand that we must rebuild on this foundation. And that's what we were showing, what a fool's gonna build his house on the sand versus a wise man gonna build his house upon the rock or the foundation, which is the word. And John tells us in the beginning was the word, and the word was Him. And the word was there already. So when we going back and we building our foundation on the Mashiach, we got to come back and build our house on the word. Let's come back and look at what He said in Matthew chapter 7. Just so y'all can see that. And we're going to build upon that. Alright. In Matthew chapter 7, this is what I wanted to catch. He says at 24, He said, "Wherefore, so whoever hears these sayings of mine and doeth them, I will liken unto a wise man." So the whole point is understanding, coming back to the word. You gotta hear the word and do it. The thing that Abraham and Noah did, regardless of what was going on around them, once they heard and got the word to come out or do this and do that, they did it. You understand? And that's gonna be the difference between people who hear the word and hear the calling and are not chosen for that. Because once they hear what they're supposed to do from a preacher or have it come to them, they not taking it and receiving it so that they can fashion their house upon that foundation that is the rock. If you build your house upon any other foundation, you're not going to be able to stand the test and the trials that's going to come forth and come with that. I brought forth Noah and Abraham because these two men was paramount in the beginning, because these men, He chose to come out and they came out on their own. That's the difference between us, because most people, when we come into the word now, it's other people that we already know that's in the word. You know what I'm saying? Whether it be friends, whether it be relatives, whether it be, you know, it's other people in the word that you can connect with and that can help you build, so you're not feeling like you're doing it alone. See the difference between Abraham and Noah, especially Noah, it was very wicked during his time, and this is the first person that really stepped out, took a command, regardless of what other people was doing around him, for the salvation of him and his family, because they were saved from that flood. You understand? So not many people we see are even stepping out on faith and building on this rock right now when they got all the resources they need. You understand? Mashiach hadn't died. He going solely off the righteousness of his own faith and what this man told him to do. It wasn't no Torah there. You know what I'm saying? That he could physically touch, like how we can physically touch it and read it and get taught it. It was no priesthood set up. It was nothing like that. So you got to understand the difference between how it was then and how it is now, and all the excuses that we make coming from these people had to do it on their own, and knowing that we got the Mashiach as our example because he died to do that. So we can actually be the wise men and build our house on that foundation, because that foundation already been laid. We just got to take that hewn stone. And when we looking at that hewn, I wanted to pull that word up. When we go back to that, when we looking at that hewn stone, hewn is just something that's taken from another source. You know what I'm saying? So we know we part of the body. We all supposed to be pieces of hewn stone. We just supposed to be a piece off of that body that's making this whole thing work, you know? So that's what we gotta take. We gotta take that piece and build our foundation on that. So let's come back to Genesis, what was that, Genesis 7 for Noah. Let's jump to Genesis 8. I want to show y'all something too. Alright. Alright, let's do Genesis chapter 8, verse 14.
In the second month, on the 7th and 20th day of the month, was the earth dried. Elohim spake unto Noah, saying, Go forth of the ark, thou and thy wife and thy sons wives with thee. Bring forth with thee every living thing that is with thee, of all flesh, both of fowl and of cattle, and of every creeping thing that creep upon the earth, that they may breed abundantly in the earth, and be fruitful and multiply upon the earth. And Noah went forth, and his sons and his wife and his sons' wives with him, and every beast and every creeping thing and every fowl and whatsoever creep upon the earth, and after their kinds went forth out of the ark. And Noah built an altar unto Yahuwah, and took of every clean beast and every clean fowl, and offered burnt offerings on the altar.
Just start right there. That's what we're getting at. Right here in this instance, I'm going to pull the word for y'all real quick. In this instance, this is the first time that we see the word altar. The word altar. I'm going to pull that word so y'all can see what that means. So once he followed the command, came out of his house and went to the ark, he would preserve the family and the animals. He came forth and he built the altar. And the altar, the word for altar is zabak or mitzvah, and that means to slaughter, to kill, to sacrifice, to slaughter for sacrifice, slaughter in divine judgment, offer sacrifice. All right. So right here is the next step when you building your foundation. He built this foundation because after he established that he had that faith, because he had the faith to leave his father's house and do what he needed to do, he had to establish the sacrifices that had to be made. So understanding that when we coming out from our house or coming out from the understanding that we have, we coming out of, living contrary to the word because we didn't have the word in us. We didn't have that desire to live and walk in the word till he called us out of that. So understanding it's the same thing. Once we come out of that, and you depending on this rock as your foundation, you got to build your house up or build your altar, your temple up upon these sacrifices. And the sacrifices that you sacrifice, and of course, it's like we talked about, it's not blood of animals. It's the sacrifices of the things that you might have brought with you coming out. You know what I'm saying? Just like we know we came out of Egypt, it's a lot of that bondage. When you coming out, it's different because we're not fashioned with the spirit of Elohim. We're not just coming into this word and we all got it all together. So when we looking at that, once we put that foundation down of our faith and we take that rock on, the altar that's supposed to be built is upon the sacrifices of obedience. Because he's saying the man that does the word is the man that's going to be wise. So once you have that understanding of the word, you actually build that altar in your heart to actually bring forth them sacrifices. He'll be able to accept that. All right, let's go to Acts 7 so we can look at the temple not made with hands. And we can tie that into something else I want to show you. We have Acts 7:40.
Howbeit the Most High dwelleth not in temples made with hands, as saith the prophet. Shamahim is my throne and the rest is my footstool. What house will ye build to me, saith Yahuwah? Or what is the place of my rest?
All right, stop there. He's saying, what is the place of my rest? So let's stop that, hold that, and let's get 1 Corinthians 6:19. All right, now I got a question for y'all. 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 19.
It said, what, know you not that your body is the temple of the Ruach HaKodesh which is in you, which you have of Elohim, and you are not your own?
Mm-hmm.
For you are bought with a price, therefore esteem Elohim in your body and in your Ruach, which are Elohim's.
All right, so stop there. So if he say that he dwell not in temple made with hands, and then right here in Corinthians it say, know that your body is the temple of the Ruach HaKodesh, which ye have of Elohim, and ye not of your own, what y'all getting from that? If we know that we aspire for this Ruach to be dwelling in us, and he's saying his Ruach, or he don't dwell in temples made with hands. I'm saying, in Acts it's saying that he don't dwell in temples made with hands, and right here in Corinthians it's saying that know you not that your body is the temple and the Ruach is dwelling there. Yeah. So when we looking at that, are we made with hands? You know what I'm saying? That's the question I'm asking, because we not Elohim ain't make us. We made from our parents. Two people lie together to make us. We're from the dust. We're from seed. It's only two people that he physically created that wasn't made with man's hands, and that's Adam and that's the Mashiach. So how can he say he don't dwell in temples made with hands, but then the Corinthians just say your body is a temple and of the Ruach HaKodesh?
If you're born again, you're born.
Right, and that's what we're looking at. That's what you building. That's what you building. That's what he talking about when he talking about this wise man building his house on the rock, because he's already there. He has to build a temple for Elohim to dwell in. So you have to rebuild yourself so that you can get this. He's saying that you know your body is the temple of Elohim, which ye have of Elohim. That means Elohim has given you what you need to have this temple. You know what I'm saying? Elohim didn't have nothing to do with what we had before. Yeah. And that's what I'm showing that between Noah and Abraham. You know, the way they living before, you gotta have that faith so that you can come forth and build something better. You know, he had that faith to build that ark so he can get that prepared to have something better and save his family. You know what I'm saying? Abraham had that faith that him to do what he had to do so he can say, come inherit this land that I prepared for you. So the same thing we gotta do is make sure that we have the word in us so that we can go on to build this temple so that he can dwell in us. But guess what? If you still trying to live in this old house, or you still trying to live how you was living before and bring that stuff over to this new house, you're not building your house on the foundation, which is the rock. And that's when the persecution and everything that's gonna come, your house not gonna stand. That's showing how people faith waver. You know what I'm saying? When different people in their life start messing with them and different things in their life, but they blessed, they trying to fight, and it's conflicting with the word, and they stop doing the word, they counted to as a fool. But I would say the person that hear the word and don't do the word is the man building his house on the sand, because he feel like he building something. You're not building nothing, because guess what? That's not gonna stand. As soon as the test of time and the tribulation come, you're not gonna be able to stand. You're not gonna be able to get the spirit. Because what it say, the rain come down and the showers come down. That we just talked about last night. If the spirit supposed to be coming down upon your temple, how you gonna receive it if it's not built upon the rock? You get what I'm saying? If he coming back to gather his people that got the word in them, and they've been living for the word before he came, he not gonna see you if it ain't no spirit in your temple. You understand? So that's what we focusing on building. That's what we focusing on, making sure that we building the foundation and we rebuilding ourselves up so that we able to stand and we got the fortitude to be able to receive that spirit, because the spirit is not going to dwell in the house that's not built up upon his word. And if you contrary to the word, you counted to as a fool. All right. So what it said, verse 20. We still at 1 Corinthians 16. I want to catch that.
For you are bought with the price, therefore esteem Elohim in your body and in your ruach, which are Elohim.
Right, because the price already been paid for you to get your house. And that's what I was letting y'all see as far as having that faith that Abraham had and having it now. The house already paid for. You just got to do the work. You know what I'm saying? You just got to build upon the rock, as he already came forth and gave all the resources we need. Him being the carpenter that died, so now we can fashion our house as he fashioned his house after the manner of Elohim, so we can receive that spirit. All right. So let's go to Mark 14. All right, let's go to all right, my bad. Mark 14, let's go to verse 57.
And there arose certain and bare false witness against him, saying, we heard that him say, I will destroy this temple that is made with hands, and within 3 days I will build another made without hands. But neither did their witness agree together.
All right, so stop there. He say, I will destroy the temple that is made with hands, and within 3 days I will build another made without hands. All right. So that's going back to what we were talking about with saying the Most High does not dwell in temple made with hands, because we know that what we building, when it's time to come and inherit the kingdom that he's going to prepare, because he said, I go up to prepare a place. In my Father's house there are many mansions. So the house that he left off to go build to come back for us, we have to have already forsaken the temple that we have that's made with hands. And that was the point I was trying to make. I'm sorry I couldn't find that. So we already know we dwelling in the temple right now that is made with hands, and we have to let off that temple and be born again and build a new house that the Ruach can dwell in, so that we can dwell in the temple that He made without hands, that's not made by the hands of men. And that's where a lot of people who cleave into the Old Testament, they miss it, because guess what? They wait for this temple that's going to be physically in the land to be rebuilt, and they not waiting on the temple that's coming down from Shamahim that's made by the hands of Elohim. They not going to be able to receive that if they live in the old covenant, because the new covenant didn't give them the resources they needed to be able to build a new temple so that they can inherit the temple to come down that's not made with hands. That makes sense? All right, let's go to Isaiah chapter 8. And that's what he was talking about. And we can tie that into understanding what was going on with the two tribes and how many people gonna stumble because they're not receiving the resources that they need to be able to attain the salvation that's coming. We at verse 13.
Sanctify Yahuwah of hosts himself, and let him be your fear, and let him be your dread. He shall be for a sanctuary, but for a stone of stumbling, and for a rock of offense to both houses of Yasharal, for a gin and for a snare to the inhabitants of Jerusalem. And many among them shall stumble and fall and be broken and be snared and be taken.
All right, so start with that. Let me pull this word real quick. So what we're seeing is, he's saying that he's going to be a sanctuary, and it's saying that he's going to also be a stone of stumbling and a rock of offense to both the houses of Yasharal. All right, and we're going to see as we continue to look at these kings, we're going to see that eventually Judah did stumble and fall in the same sins that Israel did. All right, and that's because they didn't continue in the fear of Yahuwah. All right, hold on. Let's put this word. So it says he shall be a sanctuary, which is Mikdash, which is a set apart place, temple, or tabernacle. All right, and then when we're talking about this rock of offense, all right, when we're talking about this rock of offense, it's talking about to be a stumble, a trap, or the calamity. Because we're seeing that the calamity came on the people because they didn't lean on that rock. That's what it said in Isaiah 51. It said you're supposed to lean on that rock which you have hewn, because that is where your salvation is going to come from. Versus you looking at the tribes, they didn't lean on that rock. They didn't lean on that rock, and they forsook it, which is why the calamity fell upon them. That was the whole trap. Israel got taken away because they forsook him. That's what we read in what's that, 2 Kings 17. That's why we see that they started doing everything that the nation did, and they didn't lean on that rock. Therefore, the calamities fell upon them, and we see that eventually the kings of Judah, they eventually took the same route. That's why it says it's going to be a snare for both of the houses. Guess what? When the Mashiach came back, that was the snare. The same rock was the snare, because the Pharisees and the people of Judah that he left in the land, because that's what we read. Because of David, he left us in the land. They were the same people that were saying crucify him. So we see how both kingdoms, or both tribes, kingdom of Israel, kingdom of Judah, they both stumbled at the same rock because they didn't build upon their house on the word, because everything that was going on was right here in the word, and they forsook that. And that's what we got to look at. We have a pattern of forsaking the word and then trying to come back and put it on Yah when it's really us. And us knowing we got the resources and everything we need to do it, it ain't nothing but excuses if we not able to attain the prize that he got for us. All right. So let's look at that in First Peter 2:8. All right, let's go to chapter 2, verse 6. Let's go start at 6.
Wherefore also it is contained in the scripture, Behold, I lay in Zion a chief cornerstone, elect, precious, and he that believe on him shall not be confounded. Unto you therefore which believe he is precious, but unto them which be disobedient, the stone which the builders disallowed, the same is the head of the corner.
All right, so let's start there. So we saying right here that unto them which be disobedient, the stone which the builders disallowed, the same is the head cornerstone. That's showing forth that the people who don't take heed of this word and don't build this house upon the rock, this is going to be the same thing that's the cornerstone, meaning when he come back, this is going to be the same rock that you judged by, the rock that you didn't build your foundation on. And that's going to be your stumbling block and your snare. And that's how a lot of people going to end up going to hell, because the same thing that we forsaken, the same word that people forsake and they play around with, is the same word that's going to come back and judge them at the end time. So playing with the word, and that's what that parable is also showing. He said the man who hear the word and then you don't do it, you build your house on sand. Because when he come back, it's the same snare, because you heard the word, but guess what? That word that you heard and didn't do is going to come back and judge you. Versus the man who heard the word and built his house on the rock, you'll be able to judge those, because it say those who found favor are going to be able to judge even the Malachim. So we know that if we get that spirit and we able to judge even the Malachim, we going to know that that same word that was taught to us, we live by it and we build our house by it, so that we able to dwell in the house that's going to bring down for us. I wanted to, let's read verse 8. I want to read that too.
And the stone of stumbling and a rock of offense, even to them which stumble at the word, being disobedient, whereunto also they were appointed. But ye are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, a Kadesh nation, a peculiar people, that you should show forth the praises of him who have called you out of darkness into his marvelous light.
Right. We're looking at that chosen, because that's the difference between the person who hears the word and doesn't do it, and the person that hears the word and do it, because he has put that in their heart to do the word. Just like he put it in Abraham's heart, just like he put it in Noah's heart. He could put it in the heart of the prophets. He put it in the heart of the forefathers and all the righteous men to actually do the work so that they can be established. Understand that that's where the difference between the called and chosen come in. All right, it say he has called you out of the darkness into the marvelous light. And that's what we're looking at. He's called you out of the darkness, or he called you out of this temple that you had that's made of man's hands. He called you into the light, in a place that he's built for you. So we're looking at that. If you coming into the light, you come into the word, and you building your house upon that foundation, and you holding steadfast and being obedient to it, you will be able to obtain that light. And you'll be the light to others, a light to the Gentiles, a light to other people around you, so that the gospel will be able to be preached through your actions. And that's something we talked about last night too. Understanding that you being able, people seeing that you building your house upon this stone, and seeing that you are living by what you hearing and you living by what you believe in, you preaching that testimony to them, because you are the rock that's, you hewn from that same rock. The same works that the Mashiach did when he came and was perfect and walked upright, and other people saw that and they hated that. That's why you're going to suffer that same persecution. But guess what? If you saying you in it, but you're not really doing it, when you getting that same persecution that come with doing it, you're going to fold, because you're not really living it. You understand? And that's another parallel you got to see as far as being chosen and being called. People that's called, they not going to endure. That's how you going to see. People who call, and they say they heard the word, they say they own it, and they not doing it, you know that whether they chosen by, are they able to withstand? Are they consistently showing a pattern of they doing what they supposed to be doing? Are you seeing them building and bringing forth the fruits that's come from being obedient? Because if you being disobedient, it's going to reflect in your house and what you building. And especially if you a man of y'all, you got a family, you got a wife, and you got kids. All that, how you conduct your home and conduct your family, all that's supposed to show forth if you're doing it by the word. If you're doing it out of order, people going to see that it's not in order, because he's not going to let that prosper. All right? So when we coming out of that darkness and we coming into that light, that's what that light is going to be. That light is going to be you reflecting this house that you is supposed to be building, that's supposed to be for the representation of the master. All right? I got a couple more things I want to hit. Let's go to Isaiah 17. Who is that? Isaiah 8. Because this is what a lot of people do. They might start good, get on building their house, and then they forget the rock that they hewn from. And that's going to be to their demise, because if you forgetting where you came from, you're still not going to be able to stand. We said chapter 17. Let's jump down to, let's jump down to verse 9.
And that day shall his strong cities be forsaken, be a forsaken bow and an uppermost branch which they left because of the children of Yasharal. And there shall be desolation. All right then. Because thou hast forgotten the Elohim of thy salvation, and hast not been mindful of the rock of thy strength. Therefore thou shalt plant pleasant plants, and it shall be set with strange slips.
All right, so let's start right there. So we know we're talking this Isaiah, and this is why I was saying it's gonna tie into Ephraim, because that's what it's talking about. If you look up earlier in the verse, the chapter, we see that that's what Yasharal did. Once Yasharal became a kingdom, they split from Judah. All the kings from Jeroboam all down, they forgot the rock which they hewn. They forgot where they came from. They forgot how they was able to inherit that land. They had forgotten everything their forefathers had went through. They had forgotten the instructions that was laid down on them so that they could prosper in the land that they was in. So at verse 10 it say, because thou hast forgotten the Elohim of thy salvation, and has not been mindful of the rock of thy strength, therefore thou shalt plant pleasant plants, and shalt set it with strange slips. When we look at that, I'll put that for you real quick. That's just talking about how he was going to put us out that land. You get there and you feel like you're comfortable, you planted plants, but it's going to be with strange slips. That word strange is just, I think it's Gentiles or strangers. The strangers going to come and they're going to end up eating what's yours and what you planted and what you gained. And that's what happened. He sent us out, and the people had to, what we read, when the people of Syria had to come, and they had to get taught of the word in that land. So the same land that these people had, it was taken from them because they had forgotten the rock. It's no different from your house being brought to the ground because it's not built upon the word, because you've forgotten what your rock and who your strength is. And a lot of times the word itself is what causes people to forget the rock, because they get pride and they get puffed up. That's what was going on with the Pharisees. They felt like they had the knowledge of the word. They felt like they had the word. We in the temple, we doing this, that, and the third. You feel like you're doing the work, but you're not really doing it with a heart of faith. You're not doing it with an upright heart, upright mind. So therefore, you building your house in vain. And that's something that we can't do. All right, let's go to 1 Kings 18, and then we're gonna go to 1 Kings 18, and we're gonna go to Romans 5. All right, we had chapter 18. Let's go to 30. Yeah, 30.
And Elijah said unto all the people, come near unto me. And all the people came near unto him, and he repaired the altar of Yahuwah that was broken down. Elijah took 12 stones according to the number of the tribes of the sons of Jacob, unto whom the word of Yahuwah came, saying, Yasharal shall be thy name. And with the stones he built an altar in the name of Yahuwah, and made a trench about the altar as great as would contain 2 measures of seed.
All right, let's stop there. So we see Elijah at 30, it said he repaired the altar of Yahuwah that was broken down. And Elijah took the 12 stones according to the number of the tribes of Yasharal. So this showing you the same similitude of when he's bringing New Jerusalem down, how the foundations and the gates of the city that he's bringing down is going to be upon the same 12 tribes of Israel, showing the unification of the same tribes that was split during this time is the same tribes that's going to be brought back. And them same stones is a similitude of that. Notice that he said, and he repaired the altar of Yahuwah that was broken down. And that's the key of what I wanted to touch on and understanding that rock. You repairing your temple and you rebuilding your temple from all the hurt and all the things and all the sin that you've been done in your life, and you repairing that temple with the word of Yahuwah. And the word of Yahuwah is supposed to bring forth this house that the spirit is going to be able to dwell in, because you can't walk in the flesh. You can't walk in the spirit and fulfill the lust of the flesh. And that's what we can't mix. And that's what the same thing we got here. You can't serve Baal and serve Yahuwah. You can't do both. And a lot of times, we as a people have done that, and that's what we read. And there was a lot of times we see that the tribes, they're trying to serve other gods and serve Yahuwah. And now the whole point is knowing that the rock and the resources have already been laid so that we cannot keep going in the same pattern of our forefathers. We can't keep going in the same pattern of the people that came before us, because we got examples of how they did it. You know what I'm saying? You can't make the same mistake if you're seeing the mistakes that we made. Like, that's just That's just stupid. We just can't keep doing that. And that's what we see being done as a people because we the same people. It's not like we different people. And that's what people gotta understand. If you're not proactively doing the word and proactively practicing it and doing what you're supposed to be doing, you're gonna end up just doing what your forefathers did and feel like you still in the word because you know this or you know that, or you feel like I've come from this spot and I've made it this far, and you're gonna forget about how it's so easy to fall back off and so easy to get back right where you started. You gotta always be preparing and rebuilding your altar and readjusting your life to get it back on track so that you can be found worthy, so that spirit can dwell there. All right, let's go to Romans 5. We'll wrap up. Let's go to 11. I'm sorry. Let's go to the top of 11.
I say then, have Elohim cast away his people? Elohim forbid. For I also am an Israelite of the seed of Abraham of the tribe of Benjamin. Elohim have not cast away his people which ye foreknew. What ye not what the scripture saith of Elijah, how he make intercession to Elohim against Yasharal, saying, Yahuwah, they have killed thy prophets and digged down thy altars, and I am left alone, and they seek my life. But what saith the answer of Elohim unto him? I reserved to myself 7,000 men who have not bowed the knee to the image of Baal. Even so then at this present time also there is a remedy according to the election of favor. And if by favor, then it is no more of works, otherwise favor is no more favor. But if it be of works, then it is no more favor, otherwise work is no more work.
So stop there. All right, and that's what I want. The last closing note I wanted to make off of that is understand, just like back then, all these people was worshiping Baal and there was only a few people worshiping Elohim, it's going to be the same thing in this present time. It's only going to be a remnant. What's going to throw people is it's going to be so many people coming into the word. It's going to be so many people professing that they live in it when inwardly they still serving two masters. Inwardly they still trying to live by their flesh and still trying to obtain this spiritual house when they not going to obtain it. You understand? It's going to look like they building because like you said, they going to be building their house, but what are they building their house on? And that's what we get confused at. You get confused at because you see people building, but you don't see the foundation of what they building the house on. Because guess what? Just like when you building the house now, once the house starting to get done, you don't see the foundation. You understand? You don't really see the foundation until what? You see the quality and the structure of the house as time goes on, and you see that it's not standing the test of time, it's not standing the tribulation, it's not standing the fire, it's not standing the rain. So you gotta understand that's how it is right now. These people saying they're Israelite because he's saying he has not cast away his people, but his same people back then that's claiming to be Hebrew, claiming to be an Israelite, claiming that they believe, they not living that. You understand? Yeah, it's like the wheat and the tares, exactly. So you gotta already see that. You already gotta know that. And a lot of times now we get comfort in that. And that's why I keep bringing it up, because that's what I brought up, knowing Abraham, because they didn't really have nobody else to see. Since we see people, that's more of the snare now, because you see people and you believe that you got people laboring with you, but they not really laboring with you because they not hewn from the rock. They not laboring for what you laboring for. They got other stuff that they laboring for that's not of y'all, and y'all gonna expose that. But you can't get caught up trying to be with these people that you forget the rock that you hewn from and end up going in the same way. All right, so that's what I was.
Praise the Lamb.